After a storm, the damage is not always obvious. And if it's not documented correctly, it can cost you. With a decade of experience, we know exactly what to look for. We handle the inspection, the claim support, and the roof. Storm season is coming. Make sure you have absolute restoration on your side.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 6.
Good evening and welcome into Mississippi Live Weather at 6. I'm meteorologist Gabe in for our meteorologist Caleb Edelblue, but do not be alarmed. It's not a weekday. It's still Sunday evening. The time change is the only weird thing happening today. And that time change, honestly, adding some benefits to our skies as it is still daylight even at the 6 o'clock hour. Severe weather threat does loom into our Monday, though. That's kind of the negative side of our broadcast this evening, as we are tracking multiple threats heading through this week. And then that severe weather threat Wednesday, again, that's that second threat that we're watching for. So a lot to keep track of throughout this week, a very active pattern, but we're going to be tracking that all in detail using our triple threat, but also our storm finder for Monday, for Wednesday, and anything in between as we go about this week ahead. Let's go ahead and take a look at the first 12. And we're seeing 67 degrees by 7, low 60 still there by 10. And that mild forecast does continue into our Monday morning, despite seeing a brief setback in those temperatures from what we had this time 24 hours ago. That front doing some damage on our temperatures, but fortunately, not much damage here in the North Mississippi area. Primarily just rainfall yesterday. We're very grateful for that. And that is, again, another positive we can talk about, and we'll go through those rainfall totals here in just a moment. I'm going to go through our severe weather threat confidence, and this is for Monday. Wednesdays will follow once we get into our Monday evening, Tuesday, and it starts to transition to that next threat. This is, again, just for our Monday. And as you can see, that level 1 tornado threat, not really expecting tornadoes with this setup. What we're expecting is going to be that large hail with some hail in excess of 1.5 inches, and that's going to be ping-ponged, potentially golf ball sized hail, and that can be damaging in and of itself. You remember a couple weeks back where we did have that severe weather threat for some of those hailstones? Well, this is what to expect with our Monday. So there you're getting a look at the severe weather risk. And I think this could have some flexibility on that level 2 threat. And we'll see that in just a moment as we use our threat tracker and some reports all the way up there towards northern Alabama. But this is all based off of number of reports. And we do expect this area along Highway 82 and south, kind of central, and then north central Mississippi to get the highest number of reports with this setup. By Wednesday, a level 2 threat is in place as that that cold front moves south and east and potentially giving us that severe weather, and some of those being tornadic or potentially strong wind gusts. Our Mama Justice Doppler radar staying on the drier side this evening. So Caleb said it last night, enjoy your Sunday. I hope you have done exactly that, because aside from a few rain chances this morning, it's been a really enjoyable day. But we are watching one thing for today that will kind of set the scene for tomorrow, and that's going to be this moisture returning. So if we circulate this back over the last 12 hours, you can see how we've had kind of milder conditions and a little bit of some drier dew points up there towards Arkansas. This moisture kind of working to build back there towards the north, and put it back on this latest scan and kind of expand things out. Or so you can kind of see some of that deeper moisture down there towards Tallulah and Jackson. Just putting a few of those totals on there, we're talking 67 degree dew points. That's decent enough to produce some of those strong to severe storms. Here in Tupelo, still getting about 61, but Starkville, you can see still mid to upper 60s. So that moisture building back to the north as that stationary front starts to build in once again. And this area, once again, that we were talking about, that level 2 threat, we need some of that moisture to rebuild in order for those strong storms to happen. Hopeful that's not the case, but we are expecting at least a few hailstones getting into our Monday. Let's take a look on the broader scale. And this is going to be that high pressure system allowing for some of that drier air to settle in. But since this front has now transitioned to a stationary front, that'll begin to lift a little bit more towards the north, and that'll bring some of the moisture up here once again, as well as some of that lifting mechanism as well. But we are watching for Wednesday's threat as well, and that low pressure center is over 1,000 miles away. I'm going to be putting our measuring tool right here and bring it all the way to North Mississippi. I mean, we're 1,700 miles away, and that's that cutoff low that has been circulating a lot of moisture there in the Pacific and into the Mexico, California, and Arizona area, but that will gradually work its way back towards the east, right here to North Mississippi, and potentially giving us that severe weather in the process. But the moisture is what we're watching, and that unstable air, how far to the north does that build, and is it in time for some of those strong storms to occur Monday afternoon? So what we'll look at right here is this front, and as it kind of makes its way, well, really, it's remaining pretty stationary stationary, but it will work to lift a little bit more towards the north getting into our Monday and potentially Monday afternoon. We have a little bit of a short wave, a little bit of a kink in the jet stream. That's, of course, what we'll look at here in just a moment. But whenever that moves in, that's where we get some of these showers to occur. But we also get some of those thunderstorms with the afternoon unstable warm air. And so those two things mixing together will allow for thunderstorm activity and potentially some strong thunderstorms, with hail being that main threat. So the next 24, you get a look at that forecast. Limited moisture in the morning, but by the time we get into the afternoon, that's where those widespread showers and thunderstorms do move into the area. 77 degrees with that southerly wind at about 8 miles an hour. That southerly wind working to build back that moisture and that unstable air from the Gulf. It will do so, and it will do so here in North Mississippi, allowing for some potential severe thunderstorms and, again, those hailstones to develop as well. So coming up in the next 60, we're going to be walking through this in more detail using our threat tracker and our storm finder and timing this out hour by hour for each county. We'll look at that for Monday as well as Wednesday as we get into that extended pattern, as multiple severe weather risks are in place this week. We'll talk more in detail about that live here from the Room to Room Weather Center in the next 60. Oh, there it is.
When C.K. Little opened his doors in downtown Corinth nearly 80 years ago, his plan was simple: deliver excellent service and exceed expectations. That's why we say a little gift goes a long way.
When you've been injured, don't settle for a lawyer who doesn't even know where you live. Call Langston and Lott. Local lawyers, personal service, real results.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's meteorologist Gabe Maynor.
So here's a look at our severe weather risk for Monday. And as you can see, we are under that level 2 threat, primarily for parts of Oxford, Aberdeen, and further towards the south and west. The rest of us under a marginal risk or that level 1 threat, and that basically is based on number of reports. And we expect more reports to happen out of this yellow, out of this level 2 threat, because that's where that more unstable air is. And we expect more of those showers and storms to develop by Monday afternoon. But getting into Wednesday, the entire North Mississippi and Northwest Alabama area is under that level 2 threat, meaning that confidence is a bit higher while we're talking about those number of reports. And primary things that we are looking for is strong gusty winds, and we're not ruling out a brief tornado by Wednesday. For Monday, though, not exactly high on that tornado potential, but the hail, that is where we expect the biggest impacts to come from. So we'll talk more detail about that in just a moment using our storm finder and triple threat. I do want to focus on the here and now because, as Caleb said last night, enjoy your Sunday. 72 degrees in Aberdeen, and yes, you're seeing that correctly. That sunshine on the horizon, and not setting sunshine. That means we're going to enjoy a few more hours of that here on Sunday as the time change has happened. And if you're confused why we're live at 5, well, we're not. You just haven't changed your clocks yet. So make sure to change those to 6 o'clock because we are going to be dealing with that spring forward, that hour ahead. We're 64 degrees in Greenville, again with that beautiful sunshine there on the horizon. Had to show that off as this is the first day of the year where that sun will be setting close to 7 o'clock. So definitely grateful for that and excited to have a few more hours of daylight. Batesville, 66 degrees, and that's a beautiful blue sky. So out east, dealing with a little bit more cloud cover because it's closer to the moisture. But if you're up towards the north and west, you're getting a beautiful blue sky and a beautiful end to what has been a pretty active weekend. Our Mama Justice Doppler radar not tracking anything here in North Mississippi, but we are getting a few showers closer to the Coleman and Gardendale area in central parts of Alabama. I mean, just moving it over a little bit, yeah, you can see that they are very scattered in nature, really isolated at that, and not seeing significant impacts coming from it either. Just looking over towards the Birmingham radar site, again, these are not going to be overly impactful. I do see a few moderate showers close to my neck of the woods back there in Birmingham, but I know my folks are ready, and honestly, they're probably needing the rainfall, as is most of Mississippi and Alabama at this point. Let's go ahead and keep this moving through our forecast and rainfall totals over the past 12 hours. Hasn't been completely beautiful all day down there towards Columbus and Lowndes County, nearly ½ of an inch. That occurred this morning as the last of those showers cleared on out. Louisville had about just under a quarter, and same thing there towards Macon. But again, the rainfall primarily towards Birmingham. That's where it'll be for tonight. But getting into our Monday, that's where we do get chances back. So limited capacity in regards to those rain chances tonight, even up into that midnight hour with mild conditions remaining in the forecast. But watch how we kind of escalate things into our Monday. So again, starting Sunday night, There's that limited batch of moisture. I really expect a large part of that to be towards Alabama. North Mississippi staying dry, so any Sunday evening plans you may have looking good to go. Monday morning, though, there's your showers already starting to move into North Mississippi. And this is going to be light to moderate in nature. And as you can see, kind of building in more and more, that's that moisture starting to climb by Monday morning. So heading out the door, if you're in Indianola, Greenwood, Greenville, Cleveland, dealing with a few of those isolated showers, but luckily, that does keep temperatures a little bit warmer. Again, where it's drier, it's going to be cooler. That's why we're 51 in New Albany, but that's also why we're 60 in Belzona. So nearly a 10-degree disparity across just the northern half of the Magnolia State. So that shows you that we're dealing with a pretty unique atmosphere as of our Monday morning. Your school bus forecast, you know what? Who is still in school this week? If you guys are in school this week, let me know in the chat. I know there's a large part of North Mississippi schools, if not all, I'm still getting educated on that are out of school this week for spring break. So if you're heading off for spring break, don't pay attention to this graphic. If you're in school this week, that's where you need to pay attention. We're 53 at pickup, 77 around drop-off. And you can kind of see that we're isolated with those rain showers in the morning. By the afternoon, we're nearly covering half the state with those rain and thunderstorm chances. So as we keep it going about our Monday, we're going to walk through this in a little bit more detail because this is going to highlight specific locations that are dealing with these showers and potentially thunderstorms. So the morning, just going to be showers, not really expecting any thunderstorm activity, but this is building back that moisture into North Mississippi, setting the scene for what should be a more active afternoon. So there you get a look by noon, and you're already seeing some more significant showers and thunderstorms moving into the area. Now this is rainfall rate, but usually when you get this heavier rainfall, that means we're getting some elevated cloud tops, especially with this setup, and that could result in some small hail potential as well. So this is by noontime, and I'm going to move it out here and kind of walk through these showers and storms. These are going to progress across the river by 1, 2, and 3 o'clock. And some that stand out specifically, look at that one towards Clarksdale. And we're going to zoom in on this. Not going to do this with everyone, but I want to show you on our scale. This is the highest end of our scale, showing that this is going to be nearly the highest magnitude of rainfall that we can have on our legend there at the top of the screen. So what that means is these are very deep storms. These are going to have increased storm tops and potentially result in some of that hail development as well. So that threat beginning as early as right after lunch and continuing to build as we go about any of those afternoon plants. So let's go ahead and continue to walk through it. We're talking 1, 2, 3 o'clock. There's more of those, reds and blacks that are showing up. And while that is, again, rainfall rates, I do think that's also going to be indicative of some higher storm tops. And we need those elevated storm tops to produce some of that hail, small hail, and even some large hail. And I do think large hail is definitely on the table with this setup tomorrow as we kind of have that westerly, northwesterly flow. That will continue to move through the Magnolia State. Even by 5 p.m., we're getting some of those darker returns, once again, those darker DBZs. And as we go about Monday evening, unfortunately, still tracking those thunderstorms. So by 5 and 6 tomorrow night, our Chief Meteorologist Matt Lobon and I, we're going to be live here in the Room to Room Weather Center tracking those storms in real time and probably tracking impacts as well. And I do encourage you, and we talked about this the last hail event, if you are able to get a picture of these hailstones safely, then we do have a partnership there with True Shield Roofing that if you submit those pictures and it is above an inch and you have the largest hailstone in the Magnolia State or in the northern half of the Magnolia State, then we will that will be a winner of a $100 gift card. So we do want to encourage you guys to do that, but please do so in a safe manner. High temperatures on your Monday. We're 77 Tupelo, Amory, Columbus. We're 78 Eupora, 79 Grenada. So it is still going to be a warm forecast, all things considered. But I do think that some rain-cooled air is also on the table, especially if these showers do develop in your area earlier on in the day. By 8 p.m., wouldn't be shocked at all if we still had some of that thunderstorm activity, but overall should be below severe limits once we're beyond that 7, 8 o'clock hour when that sun sets and the daytime heating goes away. Overnight, again, we are tracking some more showers, and it's not impossible to get some thunderstorms. Those over there towards Alabama definitely stand out, and those will work through the Coleman, Russellville, Huntsville area, and potentially have some large hail attached to it as well. You kind of see this northwest to southeasterly flow to it. That's going to really mean hail. That's usually what it's indicative of whenever we have that atmospheric setup. So that's why we're really pushing hail of all the severe weather threats. Not saying we couldn't get a few gusty winds. And a tornado is not impossible, but those aren't really high on the table with this setup. And we're not really tracking much in regards to the ingredients for tornadic setup or anything like that. Low temperatures on your Tuesday, still going to be pretty mild. We're 63 Oxford, New Albany, and Tupelo, 64 Senatobia, and 64 down around Grenada, with 66 showing up Greenwood, Belzona, and Greenville. As Futurecast continues to move about your Tuesday, going to remain honestly pretty dry. Yes, cloud cover will linger. That moisture is still going to be in the air. That might make it for a little bit of a muggy afternoon as well. But that cloud cover for the morning dissipates out by the afternoon, and we will see a bit of that sunshine. But look at these returns, these winds from the south. That's building back that unstable air and that moisture, and that's going to allow for a more unstable atmosphere moving into our Tuesday night, but really for our Wednesday morning. So as we head into those Tuesday evening hours, I hope that you guys do have those plans in place, because by Wednesday, we are talking about severe weather potential once again, and tornadoes not ruled out, but those strong gusty winds are where we expect some potential damage and impacts. And we'll look at that again in just a moment using our triple threat. We're 83 in Houston Tuesday afternoon, 83 in Eupora, Columbus, Grenada. That's because of that sunshine being able to be seen a bit more and allowing our atmosphere to warm up as a result. So rainfall totals over the past 2 days. We're talking about some highlights that we have gotten with this setup, and a lot of it has been with the rainfall. We were talking about burn bans being issued. Well, this is helping alleviate some of those burn bans. So looking across the area, Hollandale 2.3 inches, just south of Winston County, just south of Louisville, I should say, 2.3 inches, 2.1 there in Lowndes County, Marshall County coming up with about 2 inches as well. I do want to say some locally higher reports are possible. Lee County, see right there, just about an inch. Well, at the Maynard household, we got over 2 inches for the entire weekend. So, folks, some areas got it more than others, but nonetheless, these accumulated rainfall totals, this is going to help alleviate the drought, which does help alleviate the burn bans as a result. So the more rainfall we get, the better. Unfortunately, this time of year, rainfall is usually paired with that severe weather threat, and that's why, unfortunately, we are watching for that. Now, over the next 5 days, we should get an abundant amount. As you can see, those yellows showing up, that's nearly 2 to 3 inches. And as we get that over a set period of days, then that's where it kind of helps the atmosphere stabilize a bit and get some of that moisture back in the ground. So Monday and Wednesday, your 2 days you need to note in that extended forecast because of the potential severe weather threats. And coming up in the next 60, that's where we're taking it directly into our analysis mode. A Mississippi Live Weather exclusive Storm Finder and Triple Threat, letting you know what threats to expect, and you'll see why we're talking hail moving into that Monday forecast. All of that coming up with Mississippi Live Weather right here in the next 60.
It's Friday night y estamos activos. Head out early. Drinks flowing till 11.
No sé qué pasó. I didn't even drink that much.
Whether it's our stories, the warmth of our laugh, or our family's secret sauce, we all bring something different to the table. So make some space. The power of connection is waiting right outside your comfort zone. Learn how you can help strengthen your community at belongingbeginswithus.org/teamup.
Can I ask a few questions?
Yeah, sure.
Do you have any pets?
Yes, we have a dog, but she's little.
Do you have any unlocked guns around the house?
We do have a gun, but it's stored securely, locked in a safe that the kids can't access. Appreciate you asking.
Yeah, of course.
Welcome back to Mississippi Live Weather at 6. We're starting with a Mississippi Live exclusive Storm Finder. And Storm Finder basically showing where we expect those thunderstorms to occur, because in order for severe weather to happen, it does need thunderstorms to happen. And as you're getting a look at your Monday afternoon, that's where we're starting, noontime Monday, and already getting a few of these cells to pop up and potentially produce some thunderstorm activity as well. Now, this is our strike model, so there will be some alternate positions on these storms, and that's going to be key with tracking these threats as well. So we're going to walk through this county by county, hour by hour, about when to expect it and what to expect here in just a moment. So Storm Finder, of course, walking you through where to expect it. And as you're looking at our mid-afternoon, you can see some of these yellows popping up, and those yellows are going to showcase more of those thunderstorms. But what we're looking for are these hills. So the darker those hills get, not the yellows, but more the oranges and reds, that's where we're getting those potentially increased storm tops, as well as a high amount of lightning strikes showing a mature thunderstorm as well. And that's also indicative of some potential hail. So getting into that afternoon forecast, you can see this mound right there towards Marshall County. That's where we are getting some higher returns with those oranges and reds. And that's where I would say it's definitely possible to get some of those larger hailstones. And even down here towards Tuscaloosa and Alabama, not going to be shocked at all if they get a few hailstones as well. Those working through the late afternoon hours primarily shift there towards Alabama, and there you're getting a look at some of those oranges and reds again popping up. This is an unstable atmosphere, especially by mid to late afternoon, because we're basically feeling like spring now, and that means that it's a warm and unstable atmosphere entering those afternoon hours. So into the nighttime, we do expect that thunderstorm activity should diminish a good bit, but I wouldn't be shocked at all. And this was shown in our HRRR model as well, our HRRR. This batch of thunderstorms moving across northern Alabama, those have a few elevated tops and a high amount of lightning, meaning that thunderstorms are definitely possible. And as that moves closer to the Hartselle, Coleman, and Fort Payne area, again, tracking for our Birmingham folks, that's where I wouldn't be shocked at all if they got some heavy rain reports as well as a few hailstones with that batch of cells. Once we get more into our afternoon hours, again, it will be, or sorry, not afternoon, morning hours of our Tuesday. That's where we do expect it to be a little bit of a break in that thunderstorm activity. And as we go about those Tuesday plans, again, not tracking much of anything, not until Wednesday. And as we get more into Wednesday, you can see how some of that activity starts to move into Arkansas. But once we get more towards our Wednesday afternoon, that's where activity should pick up. The main thing with these systems is usually the afternoon is the peak timing for these threats to kind of increase. Even on our Saturday, we didn't have severe thunderstorm warnings until the afternoon hours, despite having rain showers as early as about 10 a.m. So it takes a little bit for that peak heating to enter the atmosphere and allow for some of this thunderstorm activity to pick up. And right here on your Wednesday, you're getting a lot of individual development that could result in a few strong storms in and of itself. But this main line and this main match of storms, that's where we're going to see some storms fire up and potentially produce some of those strong wind gusts, especially overnight and getting into our Thursday morning. So Wednesday, our increased threat for wind damage, but Monday, our increased threat for hail damage. So what we're taking a look at right here is triple threat. Triple threat, another Mississippi Live exclusive that walks you through each individual threat, from rotation for tornadoes to wind damage, like we'll see on Wednesday, and then large hail, like what we'll see on Monday. So let's go ahead and get into that. And again, this is Monday morning, early hours. Not expecting anything. It's all going to remain below severe limits, and any showers that try to move into the area should not have any impacts attached to it. Not until the afternoon, and there we get a look at some of those reports. So all these purples that are showing up, that's showing the potential for some large hail. And I will say the ones that stand out, you see the streak right here? While that does show rotation, of course, that would be, in a different type of setup, a little bit alarming for some tornado development. Being that we have this northwesterly flow kind of moving through the area, these usually produce more hailstones. And especially with that rotation lining up with some hail, that's where I would say that's one storm to pay attention to, getting into those 3, 4, and 5 o'clock hours because of that potential large hail. And even this is talking about right south of Okolona, still getting some of those hailstones falling. That's where some large hail is not at all impossible with this setup. Let's go back to our home view here real quick so we can keep assessing this threat. Getting more into our Monday night, look at some of these rotation returns. And again, not talking tornado rotation. This is going to be that hail rotation. And we have pink showing up in Chickasaw County, down there towards Winston County, Itala County, even Itawamba County. So this is going to be kind of a widespread potential for some of those larger hailstones. And this could be in excess of 1 inch all the way up to about 2 inches, which is about golf ball sized in diameter. So it's going to be impactful hail for sure if we do get this to fall and if these storms do mature how we expect them to. But watch it during those overnight hours. This batch of storms moving through Hartselle, Florence, and just northeast there of Colbert County, that's pretty decent returns. Jumping back up there, compare that to what we have here in Mississippi, pretty much incomparable. But again, this is a forecast. It's not exactly scripture, so this is not saying it's going to happen in this area, but I do find it interesting that this strike model is lining up with our HRRR model for the potential of large hail all the way up there towards Decatur, Alabama. And those deeper purples means that that's some pretty large hail that's falling. And this is positioned pretty much consistent with our HRRR. So I'm paying attention towards northern Alabama overnight hours into our Tuesday morning. But nonetheless, we do still have some of that large hail potential here in North Mississippi. But I wouldn't be shocked if they did extend at least some of that slight risk over there towards northern Alabama to accommodate some of those large hailstones as well. So this kind of wraps up into our Tuesday and should be much drier and calmer throughout any of those Tuesday plans. So similar to how Caleb said yesterday, enjoy your Sunday, I'm saying enjoy your Tuesday, because that's going to be the day between, basically sandwiched between two severe weather threats. As we walk through each individual risk, that level 2 threat again stands out, but we're talking up there towards Decatur, Alabama and Hartselle, Alabama. I wouldn't be shocked if that level 2 threat did extend up there if those cells continue to be pretty consistent, but nonetheless, we have the potential to produce large hail, and that is why it's our main threat here. So like I mentioned, True Shield Roofing, letting folks know that if you do have the largest hailstone, you're in one of those areas that large hail is produced, if you submit those pictures to the Mississippi Live Weather app with some form of measurement, because we did have some debate last week about the size of it. And if you have some form of measurement, then there's no argument about it. That's where we do ask you to submit those pictures, of course, for your sake and potentially winning that $100 gift card, but also to let folks know what to expect. You're talking about if a storm starts producing some large hail over there towards Greenville, well, folks in Holmes County want to know about it because that storm's likely headed their way. So this is basically letting people know in advance of what to expect and helping the National Weather Service issue those warnings and put those storm reports on the radar like you see behind me. So I think it was 2 Fridays ago, that's where a large part of these reports that we saw, they were your reports, and that's why it is so important that you do so. So encouraging you guys to do that. And again, through the Mississippi Live Weather app, that's where we ask you to send those in. Damaging wind risk, this is where it's at level 1 potential. Not really expecting it with this setup, but talking to Matt behind the scenes, downbursts are definitely possible with this as some of those thunderstorms do collapse. That's where you could get some of those strong damaging winds for a brief moment, but it will depend on where those thunderstorms start to just, collapse. But in our tornado risk, not sold on it, not saying it's impossible. That's why it's that non-zero potential. But again, this isn't the typical thing that we look for with this northwesterly flow that we have here in North Mississippi. All right, let's go ahead and go beyond our Tuesday and into our Wednesday. And this is still an expanded look. It's amazing that we get high resolution data this far out. But I wanted to show you guys what to potentially expect as we get into our Wednesday. But this will be fine-tuned much more as we get more into Monday, Tuesday, and even into the start of your Wednesday. So what you're getting out there towards Arkansas and Texas, that's a large part, some brighter helicity stripes, some brighter rotation. That's showing that there is some tornado potential with this system as it moves through Dallas and Texarkana. But those cells that produce or potentially will produce those tornadoes, they're not doing those here in North Mississippi. So what you're seeing right here, again, this is from Monday's threat. We're talking more to Tuesday, and watch how these cells basically add some more stripes once they move through the Arkansas, Texas, and Louisiana areas. Once they get more into North Mississippi, and we're talking Wednesday night, while we do get some potential, I'm curious to see when this does move through. This is more Wednesday afternoon, then we're looking at a completely different setup. But if this is Wednesday night, I think that this will be a limiting factor in that strong thunderstorm potential. While the reports are still expected, I'm honestly hoping that this is the case because we don't have that daytime heating. And like we talked about just a moment ago, daytime heating really drives that severe weather potential with this setup. So fingers crossed that's the case, but nonetheless, we're paying attention to it. And so is the Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma, as that level 2 threat is issued just in case those severe thunderstorms do start to fire up, as we are expecting some reports here in the Magnolia State. Looking at our confidence levels here at Mississippi Live Weather, hail is the main thing we're watching for Monday. And again, this is just Monday's threat. Wednesdays will look a little bit different, but we do expect a few strong gusts, but primarily remaining sub-severe unless it is going to be, like we said, some of those downbursts or microbursts that happen in the area. Non-zero threat for tornadoes. Again, not really expecting it with this setup, but not impossible. It's just really the hail is where we're expecting those significant impacts, and spotty heavy rain, but shouldn't result in too much flash flooding. And for tonight, we are remaining on the calmer side. A few showers here and there, but that's going to be for a very limited capacity as a large part of North Mississippi is staying dry and, of course, staying safe. All right, I'm looking in the chat. No more storms, please, Mr. Weatherman. Listen, I was telling someone at church this today. If it was my choice, if I could control the weather, then you bet your money I would make it sunny and 75 every single day out of the year. Unfortunately, we don't control the weather. We just have to forecast it. So I'd never want to come in here talking about storms, but I do have to let you guys know what's happening, and that is what we're expecting heading into this week. So just stay safe, stay alert, and of course stay up to date with Mississippi Live Weather, and we will let you guys know what to expect in advance, during, and after the storm. That is why I despise warm weather. Joy, I do agree. I love warmer temperatures, but they do come at a cost as it kind of makes it for a more active pattern. So that's where the cold weather's good, but cold weather has its downfalls, especially because of the cold precipitation, like we saw with the ice. So yeah, it's just Mississippi. Mississippi is a joy. I've fallen in love with Mississippi, but that doesn't mean the weather's a little bit crazy sometimes. But nonetheless, we are going to stay safe. We are going to go through all of this together. Again, we're right here in North Mississippi with you guys. Want to forecast everything as soon as possible, let you guys know well in advance. And speaking of knowing well in advance, we do have more broadcasts coming up, but we also have our Mississippi Live Weather app. So if you have not already done so, downloading that today will potentially save your life or your family's life because it lets you know in advance when those storms are moving in with several minutes, if not hours of lead time. to let you guys know that it's potential and it's happening. Multiple alerts that you can get. We also encourage weather call if you've not done that, and I believe that we do have something set up for that. So let me pull that up real quick. Is that working? There we go. Sweet. So yes, weather call. Let me clear this real quick so that way you can get a better visual on this. Go back one. There we go. Okay, now let me pull it up again. Okay, so this is weather call, and weather call, of course, lets you know when those tornadoes are headed your way, potential tornadoes. It also lets you know when some impactful storms, severe storms are headed your way. That large hail that we're talking about, that can be one of those weather call notifications that you do get. It calls you, lets you know what to expect, and while, phones are ringing off the hook with text messages, this is a phone call. On phone calls, I don't know about you, but I answer that more than text messages. So if you are like me and need that extra alert or need that phone to go off a little bit more to let you know what's happening, well, it will do exactly that. So I encourage you to get weather call today, and you can do so by the QR code there on the bottom of your screen, or download that Mississippi Live Weather app like we just mentioned a moment ago. Let's go ahead and bring it back in here to the Room to Room Weather Center, so we can talk about this a little bit more. But yes, the Mississippi Live Weather app, letting you know how to stay safe in advance of these storms, and we will be here throughout the entirety of the time, letting you know what to expect as these potential large hailstones move in, or those potential gusty, damaging winds that move in by Wednesday. So our live broadcast is at 5, 6, and 10, but with that being said, we will be live as needed as we do deal with some of those showers and thunderstorms moving into our Monday afternoon. So make sure to have that Mississippi Live Weather app, and you'll be able to tune in to those live streams and walk through what Chief Meteorologist Matt Laupon and I have there for you. So like we said, our next broadcast is going to be at 10 o'clock tonight. And then our meteorologist Maggie McCauley will be live in the mornings with the latest on what to expect. So make sure to tune in as she'll have the latest runs of those models. But don't miss out being with me at 10. It should be a good time letting you guys know what to expect in advance of these storms. We'll see you then.
March 24th, 2023 was a normal Friday. We knew the weather was not good, but we needed to take shelter, and we didn't have shelter. My husband and almost 2-year-old daughter, Ethan and Riley, they did lose their lives in the storm. We're still recovering from it. We'll always be recovering from it. Matt Laupon cares about the community. He's not just there to collect a paycheck. I feel like Matt Laupon has proven himself trustworthy